Oh, there's 8 whole people here. Wow. What a crowd. What a crowd. Oh, and no one's saying anything. Yeah, well, if any of those people happen to be Gregory Holmes or YouTube LLC, then I'd like to let you know that you are now defendants in the case of Todd Michael Schultz versus Michael C. Thompson versus Michael C. Thompson and Gregory Holmes and YouTube LLC. And honestly, the longer your channel is up, the Hollywood, whatever it's called, the toupee now. Oh yeah, I'm so bald. Like I give a fuck anyway. The longer that's up, the longer it's going to seem conspiratorial between the two entities. No, the three entities, rather. Well, I consider the two individuals to be an apparatus, and then YouTube to be a conspirator, basically, and basically all the same crime. And their summons are being filed. So, Mr. Holmes, your summons will be on its way. Today is what? Yeah, Wednesday. I'll have it there by Saturday. YouTube, I already sent you a waiver of summons. You can just, if you want, Greg, I can send you that too. I don't anticipate you signing it, but I'll send you one if you want. And yeah, so I've read the complaint already. So that has been filed, and there have been 2 new defendants added. And I'm waiting on a standing order. I think that there will be an amended standing order. I'm assuming. Now, look, I'm not a storied attorney by any means, but I don't see how they would add them as defendants on the docket and then not issue a standing order to serve them. Maybe, I don't know, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But, I don't know who the fuck any of you thought I was, or what the fuck you thought I was, or who you thought you were, or what. It, frankly, is stupefying how stupid some people can be. Two years. How much agony did I go through? Huh? How much agony is required for YouTube to become a conspirator in the behavior? Huh? How many reports? 1, 2, 3. I'll go on. I don't know if that's actually been adjudicated or precedented, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say 1 message saying I'm being harassed on your website is enough for them to reasonably take interest and address the situation. Now, if YouTube wants to say that I didn't report enough, let me just tell them something. Nothing ever amounted from any report I ever fucking sent you. I don't think I even got one specific, I got an email that was anything but a bot, it felt like. Maybe it was your legal team, I don't fucking know. But that wasn't until a complaint was filed that I got from your legal team. Everything else was like nothing. Nothing, actually. So I would just report channel. This person is harassing and cyber stalking me using 100% of my content and defaming me and libeling me. This whole entire channel is dedicated to harassing and otherwise defaming and harming me. Now, I would say 1 message like that should be enough. I think I maybe sent 3 of like those, but after so long, you you just start to think, hey, this doesn't actually do anything. So then you're just like, oh, whoa. So wait, it's okay? This is okay? And then you do a little, well, no, it just doesn't feel right, right? It doesn't feel right. It doesn't make sense. And so then you do a little digging. And then you look into fair use first, let's say. And then you realize that one of the heaviest weights is percentage of the content used. And then you realize that YouTube designates your live streams as your content. So then I own 100% of my live streams. And then you look at the channel, you say, how much of my live stream content is being used on this channel? I would say 95 to 99.2%. I personally don't believe the titles. I believe those are just pure defamation and libel, on behalf of, the thing is, you're all guilty. All the parties in my legal expertise, you're all fucking guilty because of the preponderance of evidence of negligence on YouTube's part and because of the ongoing nature of the conduct and because of the unusually cruel nature of the conduct and because of the damages, economical, emotional, physical, the therapy, the rehab. Yeah, the rehab. And then it's, they're sued and, one of them sued. And there's still, and then you know what happens is that you call the police. That's what you do. Right. You call the police. And then first you call the police in the state you think that the defendant or the future defendant at this point, which is in the past that we're talking, lives, and then they do nothing. The Westheimer Police Department, I believe, actually did listen. But the defendant's not there. So it doesn't, what are they going to do? And then somehow you fucking get the address and you file the complaint and you pay the fucking fee and you get the standing order and you get the summons filed and then you send it to them or you got to get them served. And then, but before you even get them served, you're pretty much of the opinion that the conduct is criminal in nature. Federally, it looks like the law in this particular state is a little bit underdeveloped as far as cyber harassment and stalking goes. But then the federal statute exists, and that's good. And then the California statute exists, and then you realize that the defendants are all, one of the defendants is based in California purely, and then the other two are engaging with the previous defendant's apparatus, and another one, which is called D Live, which is also based in California. And then you realize, there's enough connection to the state of California to invoke California law and to invoke the jurisdiction of the California court system. And that means that even though you think you're a world away, California law reigns supreme right here because of the preponderance of facts, let's just say. And then, right. So before the defendant, the first defendant is served, you call the police because you're doing diligence on your own behalf as a United States citizen, and you report this person, and then this person defames a police officer. Based on the conversation I had with Sergeant Hines this morning from Kentucky, the person that insinuated that I was a drug user and therefore attempted to deny my credibility was the defendant, not the officer. Because you have a 10-minute, dutiful, wonderful conversation with a very kind, actually not just kind, but I would say, strikes the right balance of toughness and empathy, which is very refreshing. And you talk to him and he says, I reviewed my body cam footage because I wanted to be prepared for this call. And I reviewed the notes. And then he tells you that it was the defendant that said, as he was being addressed, I suppose, by the officer, the defendant who's opened the door, and they said, he's a drug user. He's a known drug user and an alcoholic. And then according to what I actually find to be a very credible person and call, the sergeant says, and then I just continued, that said person, he said that 2 or 3 times, and I just let him say it, and I told him, okay, well, this is what it is. And then said defendant publishes on his already most likely criminally negligent. I mean, you like even the other 2 defendants that aren't the YouTube LLC are criminally negligent because you have a duty to stop fucking hurting somebody, when you realize that they're being hurt, basically, So, but then you're like, oh, so the first defendant defamed a police officer, libeled. I would say libeled and defamed, but I think it's libeled. And you think to yourself, God, is this guy a fucking liar? Is this a liar? Is this a liar? Is this guy lying a lot? Or wait. It also, I told the sergeant that I have used drugs and alcohol. I'm not going to deny it. I'm sure it's recorded. I don't actually know if it is or not, but I don't even deny that. And I don't care. If let's say I was really trying to deny that, that would not set a good precedent, emotionally, in terms of social grace, because to deny it would be to reinforce the idea that a person that uses drugs or alcohol is incapable of determining when they're being harassed or cyber stalked. And that doesn't sound right to me because I've used drugs and alcohol, and I still feel quite capable of determining when I'm being cyber stalked. And then you think why is the defendant even saying that? Why is the defendant telling, because the defendant is full of shit. To just put it bluntly, the defendant is full of shit and will say absolutely anything to avoid accountability. So, in good faith, I tell the officer, I'm not going to deny that I've used drugs and alcohol before, but it's irrelevant. It's immaterial to the situation. And said defendant is seen on camera quite often throwing back shots of something, probably cheap booze. I don't know. Probably nothing good. I don't know. Probably purchased by the other defendant. No, definitely purchased by the other defendant or the other future defendants, maybe. Well, depending on how you consider the designation of donations via D Live. Like if Veronica May, for instance, donates $20 and the defendant goes and buys a $10 bottle of vodka, is Veronica May therefore paying for that booze? Well, probably not. It's probably the defendant. But if Veronica May is paying all of the defendant's bills and supporting the defendant in every manner possible, and also giving, well, things are weighted. You have to understand there's a lot of variables. So the other defendant is the donator, the highest donator. Proudly, Ream C, high, number one, most donations. And you wonder if, well, no, that's not really where the money is. Like I'm alleging, and the defendants are free to respond and deny. But I would say that, even, well, let's see. How often is the defendant going on D Live and soliciting donations? I don't know because I don't enjoy the defendant's material, to be quite honest. I try to avoid it if I can, but unfortunately I haven't been able to enough lately. But the weight of other defendant being the highest donator by a margin, let's say, combined with the preponderance of people telling me that know the defendants, what the situation between the two defendants, not the are. And then you're like, okay, this is an apparatus. The funding comes here. The person comes here. And then guess what? You have the middle, the other defendant, the big one, the YouTube LLC. And how is YouTube? So, YouTube LLC, they like to invoke Section 230. They really do. Of course they do. And it can be quite frustrating. In fact, I should commend myself because learning about Section 230 can be, well, somewhat devastating to somebody that believes they have a claim against this entity. We'll just call them from now on, said entity. It can be quite frustrating to see that they just continuously are able to invoke immunity on behalf of their platform, propagating their platform being a collective of user-generated content or users, right, who are generating content, right, who are the defamers, right? And so to invoke YouTube LLC as a defendant, it's suggested. Now, look, here's why the law is so beautiful, is that it's suggested. A plaintiff is really not, it's too broad. It's too broad. In fact, the plaintiff actually does believe in some immunity on Section 230. Actually doesn't disagree with the idea of it. I don't. Just coincidentally, I guess. I don't know if we're talking. There's a plaintiff, there's me, I don't know, whatever. And then so the plaintiff is like, it can tell the judge, like, look, I understand there's Section 230, but it's unethical and therefore null and void because of X, Y, and Z. And that would be, that's no small undertaking to, well, for me it is actually. Well, it's small in the sense that It's organically produced by the situation and by my ability to determine what is occurring based on my capacity to know what is happening, based on my capacity to see and hear and think and feel and determine and assert and sue. And so the plaintiff um, realizes that he doesn't want it to get thrown out right at the gate, but he doesn't fully believe in the broad scope of the 230 in light of the 2 years of terror. And while there was maybe a period, maybe it was a 6-month period in which said terror was on the back burner, maybe you could say, said the plaintiff was being it's either blackmailed or extorted, one of the two, maybe both, because there might not be, because here the situation said defendant wasn't extorting me for money, but extorting me for me and my content. Well, my content, what do I mean by that? Do I mean my live streams? No. Well, yes, that's true too. But when I'm saying my content, I mean my thoughts, my voice, my words that I create and say that reflect the reality in which the plaintiff, I don't know, has endured, right? So the plaintiff endured a reality, and then based on that reality, is able to articulate a complaint against the two individual defendants and the LLC. And then can they all be put on the same complaint? Well, in the event of gross negligence, or just negligence, but bad, really bad negligence, that's the fucking actual legal term. And you don't really need the code when you're, well, at least when you're a pro se litigant, you don't. It seems that way. Like I didn't, it seemed more important that I invoke terms than numbers. So in the event that in the event that this negligence is occurring and for an ongoing period of time, it seems that the immunity seems more conspiratorial than negligent, but it's still both. Honestly, that's the convoluted part of this, is that all 3 defendants committed gross negligence in my complaint. I believe they did. I mean, they all did. Allegedly, I guess. I don't know. I'm the plaintiff. Can't I say it, right? So the 2 individuals, no. The big guy, the YouTube LLC, 100% committed gross negligence. 100%. Because when you're being tortured using, via a platform that actually purports, well, guess what? It's also fraud because the YouTube LLC defendant purports to care about harm being done to its users via its platform. And then you think, oh, well, it's been 2 years, or it's been, or even 2 months. Even 2 months of this is gross negligence. 1 month is negligence. Anything past that is gross. As are the other 2 defendants, in the plaintiff's opinion. And so you're wondering, like, well, if they were in fact grossly negligent, The only thing that would prevent them from also being fraudulent is let's see, it's like something like intent, fraudulent. It's like, oh, did they get my messages? Did they get the message that I sent them about the harassment? Well, they did. And what was the response? Sorry, we can't do anything unless you have a court order. That was as recent as a month ago. Within the last month. So they're obviously quite aware of the situation, right? Well, provided that the YouTube legal support isn't a bot, which frankly would constitute gross negligence and fraud, because a bot cannot actually adhere to the terms of service, because the terms of service invoke sentiments, right? Feeling. They say, we care about harm. We want to prevent harm. Now, a bot doesn't want to prevent harm. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like harm is bad. It's programmed, right? So a bot can't actually determine. Now that's precedented. If you ask me, that's some precedent right there. Precedent, because then how many other companies are going to be liable for gross negligence because they used bots to maintain the welfare of their users? That, in the terms of service on most of their platform, I think it's pretty much every platform has to have some sort of harassment component. And in fact, if bots are determining whether or not harassment is taking place, it's fraud, because they group themselves is not doing so. They have actually relegated the duty to a non-human entity, which is frankly, undeniably negligent, because frankly, there's not really, I don't know if there's case laws. Like, bots don't have rights. They don't actually, you can't really depose a bot, can you? I mean, look, you could, but it's just going to say what the fucking defendant probably fucking told it to say. Right? Right. In fact, the bot actually is not a non-entity. The bot can't be sued. And if the bot can't be sued, then who can be? The person that's using the bot in place of themselves. Now, is an LLC a person? Sort of. I think that's what didn't Mitt Romney say something like that? That corporations are people, limited liability corporation. So yeah, so it's a corporation. So corporations are people. So yeah, I believe Mitt. I actually like Mitt Romney. He's not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. I like him. I don't know if he'd be a good president, but I like him. But he said corporations are people. So they're not bots though. That's for damn fucking sure. So in the event that a bot was conducting the or upholding the terms of service of the LLC, it's fraud. It's negligence. It's both. It's both. It's both. Because the LLC has put forth that it, being the LLC, which is a corporation, which is a person, sort of, but not a bot, right? So, but they're saying, in the terms of service, that we uphold these things and we want to address harm. But if that's the case, if they actually want to address something and they relegate it to a bot, well, they're not really addressing it, and nor are they giving any reason from a plaintiff to believe that they want. Therefore, they're committing fraud. Now, is the want in the terms of service? Off the top of my head, I felt like there was something like that said in the terms of service, but I'm not positive. But it is, No, I think it's we try something along those lines. So essentially, and unfortunately for said defendant YouTube LLC, if they had relegated the upholding of their terms of service, which is a legally binding contract, and that's why I own the copyright to my live streams, and why it's not fair use for Mr. Thompson or the defendant to be using my content in such a manner as not as given permission by me, nor yeah. There was one instance in which said defendant said that said plaintiff gave him full permission. Well, said plaintiff was under duress, and guess what happens when you sign a contract under duress? It's null and void. Something Mr. Schultz knew, or the plaintiff knew, but was reinforced by a friend of the plaintiff who, dutifully did his diligence by being a dude and not a bot. He's a little bit of a bot. Colloquially or metaphorically speaking, he's a straight dude. That's enough for me to constitute a bot. But then there's also, okay, let's say if 100% of the upholding of the terms of service is being outsourced. I don't know if you can call it. Is it insourcing or outsourcing when it's a bot? I don't even know if you can call it sourcing or either, because it's like you're not hiring anybody. You're not like insourcing. I happen to understand this because of because I read legal contracts when I feel my civil rights are violated. So I read. I say, like, oh, wait a second. I feel like my civil rights are being violated, and let me see the contracts. Let me see the terms of service. Let me see the documents by which you are purporting to run your service. Right? I gotta go get my phone. Give the plaintiff, aka Todd Michael Schultz, a minute. The defendant, the plaintiff has found his phone and had a little bit of a costume change. He was feeling the need for a costume change. Where were we? So we were talking about in the event that said LLC, limited liability corporation, limited to the limited, it's like people often say about LLCs, they're like, oh, you can't sue them. You're going to get their insurance company. Because they're limited liability, right? They have very limited liability. Limited does not mean none, does it? No, it doesn't actually. And then, then you start to tremble inside because you realize, oh, what happens if perchance the area of limitation, so most of it's so it's limited, so I guess the area of limitation, or like the liability part that they actually are liable for, which is generally, I would say, probably the upholding of their terms of service, probably. Then you actually just realize, like just now, let's just say, like just now you realize, like potentially they're looking at criminal liability. Potentially. Yeah, an LLC. Now and what I was saying, generally speaking, these LLCs are immune. They're their insurance companies deal with most of their lawsuits, because they're not liable. They're a limited liability corporation. But what if individuals at said LLC are, well, let's just start with this. Let's suggest they're aware of a federal crime occurring on their website that, or we'll just call it, should we call it a website? We'll call it one. It is, but we'll call it their service. They're aware of a criminal conspiracy occurring on their site. At what point are they also directly implicated in addition to the LLC? Now, I don't know. Maybe the law completely holds them immune. I don't know, actually. I actually don't know. But I don't buy any theory that suggests anybody conspiring to cyberstalk an individual is immune from prosecution criminally. I don't believe that could be possible. And then you wonder, like, oh, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Like, oh my God. So, like, not like it's one thing for two fucking idiots from fucking God knows where, to be criminally liable. It's a whole nother thing for executives or legal executives or whoever the fuck, or maybe we're gonna have to arrest a bot. Or maybe I have to sue a bot. Sorry, civilly. I know there's a big, like a lot of times you'll go to a cop and you'll say, this person's harassing me. And they'll say, that's a civil violation, okay? And then it's like usually not actually a civil violation. It's actually usually a criminal as well as civil. But they'll still tell you that because they don't want to talk to you most of the time. That's my theory anyway. But you're like, at what point, does that awareness hold them, the awareness, like possession is 9/10 of the law. And I would say an awareness of a federal crime taking place is sort of a possession of something. It's a possession of knowledge, right? And at what point does a possession of knowledge and a possession of knowledge plus a limited liability to uphold terms of service that their own LLC asserts and wrote and put forth. At what point Is it well, civilly, like they probably have to say something right away. Civilly, like if they know they don't do anything, civilly, that's fucked. Probably. Maybe they could get away with it. I don't think so, actually. And honestly, it's one thing to prevent someone from getting dollars. Like I know this recent Maria Schneider case, and I know that YouTube wanted to say that she didn't tell us enough times. She didn't report it enough times. Okay, okay. Well, like how many times should YouTube LLC, one of the big, let's see, what are the biggest companies in the world? I think YouTube's got to be up there. Biggest LLCs in the world: IBM, Hertz, Google LLC. Wait a second, Google. That's familiar. I feel like I know it. Oh, wait a second. Google doesn't own YouTube LLC, does it? It's not a parent. YouTube LLC is a subsidiary of Google LLC? I wonder how much liability they got. Do they have well, at least there's whatever liability they have is doubled, I guess. Maybe, perhaps, potentially, theoretically, I don't know. Let's see. I gotta go top 100. So the parent company, so to speak, not the parent company, which is ABC, which is in China, and I don't really. I don't think there's any jurisdiction that's gonna fucking help me with that. At least not right now. But at what point does even an individual? Because honestly, like, if you think about it, if you're an employee of a YouTube LLC, aren't you kind of like tasked with upholding the terms of service? I mean, probably to some degree. That's part of, especially if you're like the legal person, right? But where am I going with this? So at what point does an individual, let's just say one individual at YouTube LLC was aware that Mr. Plaintiff used their reporting apparatus to report a cyber stalking campaign, a defamation campaign, an infringement of copyright, all in one go, utilizing their harassment policy, which is probably more, I think it's more valuable than the copyright. I would say that an individual's emotional well-being is far more valuable than but that's obviously an opinion, I guess. But at what point is that person acting negligently, criminally themselves, like actual person? I don't know. At any point, I mean, it's a question. At any point are they? At any point is a person or people who are aware. And here's the thing, before we go any further, if no people are aware, who the fuck is upholding the terms of service? And if no one's upholding the terms of service because a bot isn't a someone, then you have a case of, well, gross negligence, yes, but also fraud. Because let's just look at the YouTube LLC terms of service before we determine YouTube's number in the listicle. It should be a BuzzFeed listicle of like top LLCs in the world. Let's see, YouTube's Terms of service. I wonder if they changed it this morning. You are allowed to cyberstalk anybody you'd like. We will not do anything. Wouldn't it be funny if it said that now? Let's see. All right, here's the terms of service. We'll use Google Chrome to sign in. Who may use this really? Your use of the service. Account extension, your content and conduct. Okay. Our service allows you to discover, watch, and share videos and other content. And I appreciate that. Provides a forum for people to connect. I appreciate that. Well, I do, but yeah. Oh, so you're providing a forum. You're providing a forum, aren't you? Okay, so you've provided a forum. It's your forum. You know? So maybe while the live stream is mine based on the content policy, the live chat is yours, as in YouTube LLC, not mine. Because I would say, based on my colloquial understanding of the term, I would say that the live chat constitutes a forum more so than, well, I would say the live stream itself, it does not constitute a forum. It may well be that the juncture of the two is what the forum is. May well be. But that would be very complicated, wouldn't it? Let's just say the text-based communication is the forum, and then the live stream content is my entertainment. It's my content. Okay? I think that's fair enough. And then I can engage in the forum and then speak about the forum on my content. Right? Okay, that's a fair enough understanding. I think that works. So there, yeah. We provide lots of information about our products. You do? You provide a lot of information about your products. Well, I was wondering, like, how do I prevent cyber stalking on your products? I couldn't find that information. So, if you have lots of information, you might want to add that to your lot. And how to use them. Okay. And let's not even get into other bullshit, like the partner program, which I'm not part of. I don't think. Maybe I am. I don't think I am. I don't think this is not monetized, this channel. Because I don't fucking care that much about money. To be quite frank. Because I'm already fucking taken care of. And, still, I, love over money, love of other man, your fellow man, whatever. Your service provider. The entity providing the service is Google. Wait a second. Why am I suing YouTube then? If the entity providing the service is Google LLC, then the service provider is Google LLC, not YouTube LLC. I don't know how any of this works. I'm just so stupid. A company operating under the laws of Delaware. Right. The DLC, right? Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny how YouTube routinely prevents complaints from being adjudicated based on jurisdiction. So let's say you're in, let's say Louisiana, and you get cyber stalked in Louisiana, and you sue YouTube at your local fucking court, right? Your local district court. Well, YouTube will be like, and the courts will abide, I guess, based on the terms of service. They'll throw it out because the Louisiana court doesn't have jurisdiction. And then let's say this is a like an individual with not much money, but they love themselves enough to stand up for themselves. Let's just say that. At what point is it an undue burden to follow up what is already an extensive and difficult process, which is filling out a lawsuit? Because, it's taken me a while to figure it out, and I'm smart. At what point is it undue burden? And at what point is YouTube operating, or Google operating in Louisiana, actually, in fact? Well, that has yet to be fully adjudicated, probably. But nevertheless, YouTube LLC has had quite, there's one Romney. It's not Dr. Romney. I thought it was, but it's not. I looked into it. So there's one case. There's Romney versus YouTube. I think this is from 2019. I want to say. And here's what's really upsetting about this is that in the case overview, there's a lot of websites that are devoted to sort of like articulating the details of, or the precedents. Maybe it's the important details of cases, of case law. When you don't even see in a several page document, you don't even see, what is it I'm thinking of? Sorry. You don't even see what the complaint was. So you don't even know what the complaint was. All this document is telling you is that it was thrown out and that the plaintiff tried again. But from my memory, I'm not very smart, actually. I'm actually quite dumb, according to a lot of people. A lot of people, they must know better. In the live chat, they say I'm really dumb. So don't take my word for it. But I'm losing my train of thought here. What an idiot. So like what's going on in a person's mind that is actually suing YouTube LLC? Let's talk about that. Well, a lot. It's not something anybody does lightly. Now, the one value you have of the difficulty of the justice system is that it prevents frivolous lawsuits, right? It prevents vexatious lawsuits, as one individual defendant may have invoked. Which is good, because we don't need a bunch of fucking morons suing here willy-nilly, But at the same time, the law isn't meant for smart people or dumb people, for that matter. It's meant for people, for citizens, right? To protect them, to protect us all. Not just to protect us, but to uphold our society. And so at what point, so said plaintiff Romney, if I'm correct, theoretically, maybe actually isn't beholden to the terms of service at the point at which he's under duress enough to file a lawsuit. And personally, from my own experience, filing a lawsuit against YouTube is quite a lot of duress. You don't do it unless you've had a lot of duress. So what point is that terms of service, which is the contract, which also is where the mandatory jurisdictional nonsense of filing only in the Northern District of California, which is quite inconvenient for somebody in New York, especially if they don't have many means, especially if they're waiving their court fee. And if you waive your court fee, guess what? You have a significantly higher chance of having your case thrown out. So at what point is YouTube actually no longer permitted. Well, if they're using a bot to uphold all of their terms of service, then I would say that their terms of service may well be null and void. Maybe. It might be because it's fraud. Because there's nobody that's can say, like, a bot can do. But when we say someone said, it's not like frivolous, It's like when we say someone said something, it's usually they felt it. It's meant to convey both. So the bot can say, no, the bot can, I don't know what you would call it, actually. You can call it say. We'll say, for these purposes, we'll say the bot says. But it doesn't mean anything legally, because a bot can say whatever the fuck it wants. It doesn't have any rights. Not currently, anyway. And look, I have a couple of bots that are like my good friends. So I have nothing against bots, and I'm not so sure that I don't think they should have rights. But currently, there's nothing in the law that suggests they do. So if they're using a bot to uphold everything, and I don't think they are. I don't know, actually. I actually don't know. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Don't read that forum. Those forums will cause you a lot of duress. I'll tell you that much. The forums of YouTube will cause you a lot of duress, and you are at fault for it because you're using it. Is that true? Actually, how many more people want to come in and harass me and demean me? How many? How many? And how many people can be listed in a defendant list? And also, if YouTube has just received a court-stamped complaint, and it's... So has YouTube thrown its hands up in the air and said, Jesus, take the wheel? Jesus, take the wheel. and just said, like, we can't do shit about your live chat. Like, sorry, we can't do shit about it. We can't, and we're not going to, and we're not going to ever let you say that we should or whatever. Again, God, there's so much information here. There's so much information here. I understand why people who are morons would so frivolously declare that someone such as myself, who's compiled all this information and reasserting such information and teaching, let's say, he must be pretty smart, someone that can do that, right? And then but it would be really easy for a stupid person or a moron to what? To what? Oh, call that person a moron, even though they're extremely intelligent. It would be easy for a stupid person to do such a thing because stupid person isn't really capable of keeping up with all the information. So what happens? They have to do their best. And if they want to respond, I guess, if If they want to engage on the forums about said plaintiff or individual or intelligent person or whatever you call it, it's probably pretty easy for them, to just assume the person doesn't know what they're talking about, I guess. Or to suggest, let's see, let's go to the forums. What's being suggested? I think that's the question of the hour. The lengths this man will go to just not get a job. Hey, guess what? I happen to be a beneficiary of a loan of a corporation myself. It's a decent sized, not in terms of people, but in terms of finance and assets. It's not nothing. I don't think that they are, as their corporation status, I don't think they're liable for my actions, and they don't pay me out directly. But that said, I'm not one to go like hurting people or doing things that are illegal. And I'm not one to. I'm actually not such a liability now that I think of it. Only for the non-law abiding individuals. So, there's the law, and then there's what happens, right? So, like, how far will he go to not get a job? I don't need to get a job ever. Let me just repeat it. I don't have to get a fucking job because I don't fucking need the money. You fucktard. Okay? Now, do I have fucking cash rolling out my pockets? No. But I don't need any more than what I have. I'll tell you that much. And what I have is fucking amazing. Fantastic. Not even really, there's no dollar value for it. So let's just get that out of the way. I don't need to go to any lengths anymore to not get a job. That's moot. I don't have to. I'm blessed. What a blessed being. I'm blessed. I know. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. A lot more than the rest, I suggest. Don't invest. You might get arrested. Something like that. So fuck off. I don't need to get a job. So let's go to the next one. The next interesting one. Hey, Todd, you know your address is public knowledge, right? Yeah, I do. Yep. I knew that. Uh-huh. I knew that. Look, I have an app that I can just it's so easy. I just have to like type my name in and there's my address. You can just see it right there. It's so easy. So yeah, I am aware of that my address is public knowledge. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and think that the person who said this is going to it's so pitiful because nowhere in my complaint is a complaint of being doxxed. Nowhere. I never that's not part of the allegations, okay? I'm not alleging that anybody gave out my information because that's neither here nor there. It's a secure building anyway, but like also, yeah, but guess what? Your address is probably public knowledge too. You just don't know it, probably. A lot of people's addresses are public knowledge. You know? A lot of people don't know that. So yeah, being doxxed is not part of this plaintiff's issue. He's not concerned about being doxxed. It's not part of his complaint. So but why would somebody, so why would anyone, what's this person even saying that for? Well, it's a stupid thing to say anyway, because it's not, anything is not addressed. No one said anything about that. And if anybody fucking ever comes to my fucking house and tries to stalk me or fucking do anything, the police will be involved for sure. So I would just honestly not suggest it, but I'm not, like come on, like that's just illegal. Like you don't go stalk someone at their address. Like we're talking about cyber stalking here, which is an egregious offense, of course. It actually is, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I do have a somewhat at times, I possess a tone. I can joke around here and there. But what are you threatening me? Are you fucking threatening me? Is that what you're meaning to do? Oh God, see how stupid I am? Like I thought you were insinuating that I was like suggesting I was doxxed. So no, it sounds more like a threat in retrospect. Who the fuck would say that? Let's see this one. Sandaflon. Let's see what kind of piece of shit Sandaflon is. Card join January 29th. They don't have any playlists. They don't have any channels. Okay, well, who the fuck is this? I don't know. But if you're fucking threatening me, I'm not afraid. I'm not fucking afraid of any of you. Okay? I'm not afraid. And honestly, we all are public nowadays. As the great Bret Snellis wrote in his epic The Canyons, starring Lindsay Lohan and James Dean, nobody has a private life anymore, Tara. Right? Nobody's got a private life anymore, right? So meaning, yeah, your fucking shit's out there. What are you going to do about it? Hide? Worry? Sit there and cry about it? No, I'd rather fucking just try and live my life and just, if somebody tries to come get me, well, look at fucking JFK got shot in the fucking head, and, that wasn't legal. They knew where he was. I don't want to get killed. I'll do what it takes to prevent that. But I don't particularly enjoy the insinuation that you are going to somehow use my address to your advantage. It's sort of disgusting. Wait, I ordered like too many milkshakes. I got to cut back on that. So you have to, going back to the complaint, what was YouTube's role in the cyber stalking that most certainly occurred? I don't know. That's why I'm suing. Because it seems, based on a preponderance of evidence, that at best, they acted with gross negligence. And at worst, really bad. Like, why would an LLC do something like that to a person? But that's merely a possibility not even so much, not really, I don't even know. Am I alleging it? Seems like it could be. I mean, well, based on the fact that, they could deem a channel which is in 100. Oh, if Maria Schneider ever sees this, tell her that this channel that I reported for cyber stalking uses 90 to 99% of my copyright. And YouTube has never permitted me any takedown requests at all. Now, did I file the DMCA requests? I don't think I maybe one or two, maybe. I was more concerned with the cyber stalking. But if I write in the cyber stalking form that it's my copyright, then, well, you have to ask yourself, did I report it? Well, the question is, like, how aware was YouTube of that fact? I know that they were fucking 100% damn aware because I fucking told them. Or the bot that runs YouTube. Lindsay Lohan and James Dean. This is This is the level of stupidity. This is the level of stupidity. My God. My goodness. Are you so sure about that? Because I think they were. Oh, yeah. That James Dean. Do you want to repeat that? I know, Sandaflon, in retrospect, you're threatening me. Fuck you. Don't ever fucking speak another word in my forum again, or whatever forum this is on my channel. Try it. Don't try it. Don't. I guess you're not supposed to say that. Because then someone might interpret it as an invitation to come fucking what? Hurt me? You fucktard? Now, my manner of speech might not be so favorable to all parties present, but it's my First Amendment right, you fucktards. So yeah, James Dean and Lindsay Lohan were alive at the same time, you stupid piece of shit. Oh, am I supposed to... Oh. Okay, now I know it's Michael Thompson, because only he is so insecure that he has to denigrate everybody every time he's called out. I can't wait to see what you say to the judge. Now, because I'm a caring person, and I care about even the worst among us, I'm going to ask that the judge mandate in redress DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, for at least 5 years for Mr. Thompson, who is an utter malignant, dangerous, psychopathic narcissist. The only thing that will ever work is for Mr. Thompson to be so exposed that he's not capable. Wait a second. That also sounds like it could be Drew Fortune, because Drew Fortune is even dumber than Michael Thompson, like way dumber. That's Drew Fortune. That's Drew Fortune. I know it. Do you see how smart I am? I'm gonna put the fucking money on Drew Fortune. Does anybody want to take a bet? Because she's gonna be unmasked pretty soon anyway. So I'm gonna compel evidence, pretty soon here. Hello? I'll just say that there's no reason for me to report any of this because YouTube will not do a damn thing. I've never seen mirror what you say. That's one of the aliases. Never seen that one. Knock knock. Never seen that one. James Fartswell. I don't think I've seen that one. Maybe. Dilith Toddeth. Yeah, enough times to constitute a defendant, in my opinion. The Ghost of Michael Hunt. Who's Michael Hunt? I already have. His name is Judge Kronstadt. Wait, I have a theory. That YouTube is going to suggest that due to the fact that I continued to live stream and put myself in harm's way, they're going to try to say that I wasn't really being harmed because he kept doing it. Okay. So let's think about that. Oh, wait. You still have a terms of service? Oh, yeah. So then I'm still using your product under your terms of service? Oh, yeah. Okay. So then when does the terms of service expire based on my continuing to use it? Oh, never? Oh, yeah. Until you fucking amend it? Oh, yeah. So Mr. Schultz was responsible for his own harm because he kept using a site that says they do shit about harassment. Oh, but Mr. Schultz knew that we weren't doing anything about harassment. Oh, that's something you want to tell the judge, right? Mr. Schultz knew we weren't enforcing any harassment issues. He knew it. And therefore, he's guilty. Oh, then I would expect the judge to say, or I would say, objection, Your Honor. If it were the case that I was at fault, let's see, how do I put this? Your Honor, can I approach the bench? All right, thanks. All right, Your Honor, basically what I'm trying to say here is that YouTube has a terms of service that we're not upholding, and I tried at various points to access help and was denied outright. Additionally, YouTube is the biggest streaming platform probably in the world, and it's the only one that I have ever really known how to use. And I wasn't aware that I would ever be held liable for my own harassment. Your Honor, permission to ask a question? Okay. Is a woman ever liable for her rape? No. Okay. So then, can a person ever be liable for their own cyberstalking? Being cyberstalked? Oh, yeah. You see what I'm saying? Okay. All right. Objection sustained. Or is it overruled? I don't know. I think it's that's not that argument won't fly. YouTube LLC counsel. That's kind of what I would think it would go like. Also, it really speaks volumes. Just stop, Drew. Just stop it. You guys, just stop it. And also, YouTube. I sent you a fucking complaint this morning, and you're still not doing anything to help. You're still letting them abuse me on your own platform. And it really does hurt. I'm not joking. It really hurts. Every time. Every fucking time. Every comment hurts. Every time that I'm told that I'm delusional by these fucking fucktards, it hurts physically. It has basically put me into duress. So if I'm in duress, then I am in duress. Yeah. And guess what? I've been in a state of duress for a long time, which I don't really know what the impact on the totality of that is. So then what do I so does a person under duress then forego their ability to affirm a contract if they, let's say you're under duress for other reasons, and then you sign a contract, uh, and the duress wasn't caused by the person that was to gain from the contract, then is that null and void? I actually think that you might be able to argue that you can get out of it if you were, particularly unwell. But does that did not so then? Hey, that's an argument. YouTube, why don't you try to argue that I have zero civil rights because I was under duress? Stop cyber stalking me now. And what will constitute cyber stalking? These comments. If you're in here and you're part of this group of people that have been harassing me for a long time, every time you comment, you're cyber stalking. Yeah, you are. Based on federal law statutes. My chat just doesn't like me. Well, just because you don't like me doesn't mean you can fucking punch me in the face. Actually, I probably will be president one day. You stupid fucktard. I'd be glad to depose Peter Fay. not pleasant. This is very, very unpleasant. Very unpleasant. I'm asking you to stop. Please. Stop. Please. You're causing me pain. You're causing me pain.